Hare Krishna. Hello friends, how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing well. This is Jitendra, I'm preacher of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, and today is very special lecture. Today I am going to talk about Bernoulli principle, the fluid dynamics, pure physics and Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. So this fluid principle, fluid dynamics and Shrimad Bhagavad Gita I am going to compare. But before I start my lecture, I would like to introduce Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. This is Shrimad Bhagavad Gita as it is written by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Mahapurvak from ISKCON temple. And I would have to say Shrimad Bhagavad Gita is neither religious book nor spiritual book, but a true sense pure book, the science and humanity. I am trying to propagate a humanity on the basis of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, trying to morally motivate to those people who are actually frustrated and attempt to commit suicide on the basis of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. So this is a pure physics theory, the fluid dynamics, the Bernoulli principle, the fluid dynamics, the Bernoulli principle, and Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. How when the soul enter from the old body to new body, how this fluid dynamic works and how this principle apply at that time. I am going to make all of you understand the fluid dynamics. The fluid dynamics Bernoulli principle states that an increase the speed of the fluid occurs simultaneously with a decrease in the static pressure or the decrease in the fluid potential energy. When, listen it very carefully, when the soul enter into the new body, at that time the speed of the particular fluid, the speed of the energy of the fluid will definitely decrease, and also the speed, if the speed will increase, then the potential energy will definitely decrease. When the soul enter, listen it very carefully, when soul enter into the new body, there is a very low potential energy of the soul. As soon as soul enter into the body, after entering the soul into body, soul has a such kind of tremendous potential. Soul will gain the particular potential from the medium of the body. So when the soul is entering into body, soul doesn't have too much potential because there is a speed of entering into the body. So this fluid dynamics is applied at the particular place. Even Lord Krishna stated the soul will never, the soul is eternal and omnipotent and omnipresent. We can't destroy the soul, however, we want to destroy the soul. अविनाशी तु तदवित येन सर्वमिद ततम विनाश अव्यम अवस्थाय न कसित कर्तम अहर्ति. This is what prevents the entire body. You should know to be destructible. Your body is destructible, but your soul is indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Your soul, your energy, the potential energy is very low. The soul, however, is energy, is a potential energy, but its potential energy is very low. So if the speed is very high, the potential energy is very low. The speed is I would have to say speed is inversely proportional to the potential energy or pressure. Even Lord Krishna further stated, "Na jayate mritva kadachina, na bhutva bhuvitva, na bhayo ajo nitya sasvato yam purano, na hanyate hanyamana sarira." For the soul, there is a neither birth nor at any time, death any time. He has not come into beings and does not come into beings, will not come into beings. He is unborn. The soul is unborn, eternal and ever existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. The soul is not slain when the body is slain. Veda vinasa nityam ya ajanam avyam katham cha purusho partha ghatayanti hanta antikam. Here directly stated, Lord Krishna directly stated, O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Vasansi jina yatha viyaya navani kranti naroparani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णाय अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. Here as a person put on new garment and giving up old and useless one, the super soul. The soul similarly accept the new material body and giving up old and useless one. So this is called transmigration. When soul is transmigrated from the one body from old body to new body. At that time, soul doesn't has a potential energy. All the potential energy converted into kinetic energy, and because of kinetic energy, soul can get transmigrated from the old body to the new body. So this is called fluid dynamics. And Bernoulli equation is usual form and also principle is only applicable to isotropic flows, and also affect irreversible process and non-diabatic process, thermal radiation. So when the soul enter from the old body to the new body, there is a difference between the temperature, the difference between the pressure. Non-diabetic, the if the pressure is very low, the potential energy is also very low. The because the speed of the particular fluid, the motion of the particular fluid is very high. When there is a kinetic energy is very high, the pressure is very low. So this is what we have to understand. नैनम छिदन्ति शस्त्राणि नैन दहति पावकः न चैन अंक्ले दन्त्यापो न शोषति मारुतः. The soul can never be cut to the pieces by any weapons, nor burnt by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the winds. So this is all about the soul. And the soul enter from the old body to the new body, as we are giving up old and useless garment and get into the new garment, put on new garment. And similarly the soul gives up old and useless body and get into the new body. And Bernoulli principle can be applied to the various type of the fluid flow and resulting in the various form of the Bernoulli equation. And this simple form of the Bernoulli equation is valid for incompressible flow. Incompressible flow. The soul enter into the body is very incompressible. So it's the smoothly and with a high energy, high speed and also low potential energy, but kinetic energy was too much high. Most liquid flow and also gases moving at the low Mach number, and more advanced forms may be applied a compressible flow at the high Mach number. Bernoulli principle can be derived from the principle of conservation of energy. And this state that is steady flow. The sum of all forms of energy in the fluid is same at all points that are free viscous forces. And this requires the sum of kinetic energy, potential energy, and also eternal energy remains constant. This all will be constant. Kinetic energy would be constant, even potential energy would be constant, and also eternal energy would be constant when the soul enter from the old body to the new body, and thus increase in the speed of the fluid, implying an increase its kinetic energy. Dynamic pressure would be increased. The pressure would be dynamic and occurs with the simultaneously decrease in the sum of its potential energy. Simultaneously decrease. If the pressure would be high, the energy would be very low. If the speed would be high, the pressure and also potential energy would be very low, but kinetic energy would be very high. And if the fluid is flowing out of the reservoir, the sum of all forms of energy is the same, because in the reservoir, the energy per unit volume, the pressure and gravitational potential. The Bernoulli principle can also be derived directly from the Isaac Newton's second law of motion. If a small volume of the fluid is flowing horizontally, if the small volume of the fluid is flowing horizontally from the region of high pressure to the region of the low pressure, there is a more pressure behind than in front, and this gives a net force on the volume, accelerating it along the streamline. This is the principle of the fly of the aerodynamics. If there is a low pressure, from the low pressure to the high pressure, if something is moving, then thrust would be very there. At the down there is a low pressure, at up there is a high pressure, then it will move like this. The flight is moving like this. So this is the Bernoulli principle, and the same thing is applicable when we compare the transmigration of the soul, the conservation of energy, Transmigration of soul is all about conservation of energy. I hope you all can understand. If you are having any questions, any doubt, then please kindly put a comment. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe.